How is that to be now the most famous doctor in America, in the world, and now, you know, folks are just, you've got this celebrity status?
You know, medicine was always a calling for me. And I love today going back to the hospital, which I do on Thursdays, and practicing heart surgery, which is my day job still.
Yeah.
And I like the medicine. You know, the medicine is so cool. It's so real. You get to touch people and look at them in the eyes and say, "I'm here for you." And I love television, but it's always a little different to be one-on-one with folks.
Yeah. Well, we're glad that you are here on the Hampton Roads Show with us this morning. You've heard the audience is so excited that you're here, so we appreciate that. And it's Fitness Week here on the Hampton Roads Show. The timing could not be better for you to be in Hampton Roads, and we'll talk about what's brought Dr. Oz here in just a second. But when it comes to maintaining our health, what do you think is the biggest thing that people tend to overlook, especially your cardiac specialists, when it comes to their heart health?
Well, you know, the interesting thing, folks don't think about exercise as something they got to do every day. And understandably, we've become a sedentary society. But the reality is, it's the #1 thing that drives longevity and healthy and vitality life. And so, as a cardiac specialist, I say, you know what, go break a sweat. So for an hour a week, go out there and do something that makes you sweat. Remember, when you first start exercising, you don't start sweating. It takes about 10 minutes to get into the sweating mode.
You don't do an hour either.
No, you don't do an hour. You don't have to do an hour at once, though.
Okay.
No, you can do 3 sessions, a half an hour each. But it takes 10 minutes to get sweating and 20 minutes of sweating. Add the 20 minutes up 3 times. That's your hour of sweating. What folks don't recognize is what really hurts us is when we get frail in life. So you got to build some muscle mass, especially for the women out there. Remember this. When your ovaries start making less estrogen, going through a change of life, you also start making less testosterone. Without the testosterone, you don't build muscle mass. Same for guys. For most males, the testosterone levels drop dramatically through their lifetime. So you got to work harder to keep the muscle mass on board. You don't have to lift weights. You can lift your own body. You know, things like yoga and Reiki and you know, Pilates, they're fine. As long as they get your muscles a little bit stronger, that way you can carry your own body.
My mom will be so happy to hear that you said Pilates is good. That's kind of her thing. Your show comes on after our show. We kind of go hand in hand. What do you like most about having the show? I mean, you've said that you still love to practice medicine and still do practice medicine, but what do you like most about the show and the number of people you can reach at one time?
Well, what I love the most is that when I first started thinking about doing television, and it wasn't my idea, it was my wife's idea. Like most good things in life, come from the women in our lives. She said, you know, I hear you every night coming home and complaining about the fact that you're talking to people as they're on their way to the operating room, on the gurney, and it's too late to get the message across. The reason I do this, the reason I'm so passionate about this, is because I know I can talk to you now about stuff that will change your life tomorrow. And that reach, the ability to get to 4 million people a day and talk to them about things that you know they'll talk to their friends about, their relatives about. Because true communication doesn't happen when you and I care, look out there and talk to folks. It's when folks hear what we're saying, say, you know what, that's right. I'm going to start taking action on that. I'm going to talk to my loved ones about why they need to change their lives for the better. And then also that conversation takes place in our communities.
You're going to be in the community of Virginia Beach later today. There's a huge convention on successful aging. So what do you think is key there, and what message do you have for that audience today? And you know, when people talk about successful aging, they may assume, okay, this is a message for the 50 set, the 60 set, the 70 set, the 80 set, but I have a feeling, you know, the 30 set for a little while longer could still get some good advice today.
You know, when we talk about successful aging, what we're talking about is being as sharp as you could ever be. Because that's the #1 thing folks fear. They're not going to be able to think problems through like they used to be able to think them through. So I want you to be sharper when you're 45 as when you were 25. I want you to look as beautiful when you're 55 as when you were 35. I want to take 2 decades off your life so you actually feel the vitality you should enjoy. #1 way to do that is through weight control. No matter how you cut it, extra weight on board, especially that belly fat, is what drives so much of the aging in this country. And folks don't appreciate there's a very simple formula you have to modify. You can't modify, rather. It works for men and women and kids. And here's the formula. You ready, everybody? I want your waist size, measured at your belly button, to be less than half your height. That's the big goal. And today at the convention center, I'm going to talk about how to get there. But this is a big warning sign. Men over the age of 40 will not buy a new belt size. What they do is they slip the belt beneath the fat, and they walk around like this, right? So what you got to get folks to do, and do this today.
You have to try really hard to do that.
What you got to really do today is go home, get a measuring tape, measure around your belly button, over your hips. Whatever how tall are you? Tall woman.
I'm 5'8".
5'8".
Yes,
tall woman.
If anyone comes up here with a tape measure, you're dead.
So
5'8".
5 times 12 is 60 inches, plus 8, 68 inches. Divided in half is 34 inches, right? So if your waist size is less than 34 inches, which I'm sure it is, then you're good to go.
You're so nice.
But if you've got more fat than that in your belly, that belly fat does 3 things. It poisons your liver, gives you bad cholesterol. It puts pressure on your kidneys. Kidneys regulate your blood pressure, so you get high blood pressure. And it also blocks insulin, so you get diabetes. I've talked about this with Oprah numerous times when we were doing the Oprah show before I started my show.
Right.
I've talked about this over and over on my show. Please remember that formula and remember why it's so important. We are mortgaging our nation's future on the back of obesity, not just for adults, but for kids.
Right.
We can do better.
This is the first generation where they say kids may not live as long as their parents did. That's scary stuff.
Yeah, and we've made it easy to do the wrong thing. And the ultimate goal is not to struggle and crawl your way up the hill. It's to figure out how do you automate good behaviors. One good tip for moms out there, make the difficult decisions in the supermarket, not at home. Once you got the Twinkies in the kitchen, you're not going to beat them out anymore. You know, the kids are going to like reptiles foraging through there and find the stuff. But if you can get the healthy cereals in there and make some big decisions in the supermarket, kids aren't going to starve. They'll eat what you get.
All right, you can tell that you're not only a doctor but a dad. Thank you very much.
4 kids.
Thanks so much for all of the advice, and I hope you have a wonderful day down in Virginia.
And congratulations on the show. It's fantastic.
Thank you very much.